The music stopped. Not because the DJ wanted it to, but because my body froze mid-proposal, my hand still holding the ring box open, my knee pressed against the sticky marble floor. And her words, those 6 sharp slicing words, hung in the air like broken glass. "I'd rather stay single than marry you." Laughter died around us. Champagne flutes paused midair. I swear even the neon lights flickered as if embarrassed to keep shining. Maya stood there, radiant in a red dress that had made every guy in the room turn twice. Her lipstick was smudged at the edge, something I'd noticed earlier but ignored. I thought it was from the wine. Now I wasn't sure. My mouth went dry. What did you say?" I managed to whisper. She blinked, guilt flashing for half a second before her friends exchanged glances. Then, as if catching herself, Maya let out a brittle laugh. "Come on, Ian. You can't just spring something like that in front of everyone." The room erupted in awkward chuckles, forced, strained. Someone muttered, "Damn, that's rough," while another said, "Maybe it's a prank?" But Maya didn't look at me. She looked at someone behind me. I followed her gaze. It landed on Ryan, her coworker. The one she'd said was like a brother. The same Ryan who'd offered to help her plan this party. The same Ryan whose cologne I'd once smelled faintly on her scarf. And at that moment, he wasn't looking guilty. He looked angry. Angry at her for saying too much. My chest tightened. I stood slowly, the ring box snapping shut like a coffin lid. "You could have just said no," I said quietly. She bit her lip, the shimmer in her eyes half regret, half fear. "Ian, please, not here." I nodded, my jaw locked. "You're right. Not here." Then I walked out, the sound of my footsteps echoing against the silence that followed me. I drove aimlessly that night. The city lights blurred through my tears, every red light pulsing like a wound that wouldn't close. I wanted to believe it was all a misunderstanding. Maybe she panicked. Maybe she wasn't ready. But deep down I already knew. Because people don't look at their brother that way. I parked outside her apartment and waited. 2 hours later her car pulled in. Ryan's voice was the first thing I heard. "You could have just told him before. Why make a scene?" Her voice trembled. "I didn't think he'd actually do it tonight." "Yeah, well, you embarrassed both of us." "Both of us," she repeated softly, the words trembling like guilt. Ryan sighed, lowering his voice. "Look, Maya, maybe we need to stop. He's starting to notice." The word stabbed. Stop meant it had been going on. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, drowning everything else. I didn't burst out. Not yet. 'Cause I needed to see how far it went. For days she tried to contact me. Messages piled up unread. "I'm sorry. It was a mistake. Please, can we talk?" But I wasn't ready to listen. Not until I had proof. So, I did what no one proud ever admits to. I followed her. Her office. Cafe near her gym. Even the bookstore where she pretended to go alone. And every time Ryan was there. His hand brushing hers. His smile just a little too comfortable. One evening they left the cafe holding hands. That was when something inside me snapped. I confronted her the next day. "Maya," I said, walking into her apartment uninvited. She froze on the couch, a wine glass in her hand, Ryan's jacket slung over the chair. "Ian, what are you doing here?" "I think you should tell me," I said, my voice calm, eerily calm. "Why your coworker's jacket is in your apartment." Her eyes darted toward it like a guilty child. "He forgot it. He was just helping you rehearse your rejection speech." Her face crumbled. "Please don't do this." "Do what?" I whispered. "Ask for honesty. Ask why the woman I wanted to marry was sleeping with someone else." Tears welled in her eyes. "It wasn't supposed to happen." "Then why didn't it stop?" She sobbed, collapsing onto the couch. "Because he listened to me, Ian. You stopped seeing me. You were always working, always tired. I needed someone who made me feel alive." Her confession burned worse than the betrayal itself. So you destroyed me to feel alive? Yes. I didn't want to hurt you. Then you shouldn't have kissed him, I snapped. You shouldn't have let him touch you. You shouldn't have looked at him the way you used to look at me. For a long moment, silence. Then she whispered, "He's leaving next week. It's over." I stared at her. The audacity of her saying, "It's over," when my world had just shattered was almost laughable. But I didn't laugh. I simply said, "So are we." And I left. Weeks passed. The pain didn't fade, it changed shape. Stopped being fire and became ice. Numb, cold, heavy. Then one night Ryan showed up at my door. I nearly slammed it in his face. "Wait," he said. "You deserve to know the truth." I folded my arms. "You mean more truth than the one I already saw?" He swallowed hard. "She told me she loved me. But after you found out, she panicked. She told me she couldn't lose you because you were safe, stable. The kind of man she was supposed to end up with." I stared at him. "And that makes what you did better." "No," he said quietly. "But you should know, she's been lying to both of us." That night I didn't sleep. I thought about the irony. She'd said she'd rather stay single than marry me. But in the end, she lost both of us. A month later she texted me, "Can we talk? Just one last time." Against my better judgment I agreed. We met at the same bar where I'd proposed. It was nearly empty this time, the air thick with the ghost of that night. She looked smaller somehow, defeated. "I wanted to say I'm sorry," she whispered. "You didn't deserve any of it." "No," I said softly. "But I did deserve the truth." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. Ryan left. I thought I'd feel free. But I don't. I feel empty. I stared at her, wondering when love had turned into pity. Finally I said, "You taught me something, Maya. Love isn't about who makes you feel alive. It's about who you don't want to kill." Her eyes widened, pain flickering across her face. I stood, dropped the old ring box on the table, and walked away. Behind me she whispered through her tears, "I would have said yes, if I hadn't already ruined everything." But it was too late. Some wounds don't bleed, they echo. And as I stepped into the cool night air, I realized the silence I once feared was finally peaceful.